Welcome back to Romantasy Chaos HQ, the pod. We are Avery and Xavier Harleston, healthcare professionals by day, romantasy theorists, and aspiring authors by night. Today we are covering the epigraph from Fourth Wing, chapter 31. This is your warning. There will be spoilers for the entire Empyrean series. If you have not read all three books, it may be time to turn back. We are not rated E for everyone. Xavier has a degree in cussing and is not afraid to use it. And we will discuss any and all adult topics covered in these books. We like a challenge, so we tackle each epigraph without prepping, placing it into the context of the whole series, not just the chapter or book it's tied to. But you don't have to take it cold. So here is our post-recording one-sentence summary of the chapter. Violet's armoire takes a walk of shame after her night with Xaden, leading to tension while they unsuccessfully discuss their complex feelings, unpack cryptic messages from Asher Sorengil, fight their attraction to each other, manage the growing pressure of impending graduation, and navigate their mutual hurts tied to reunification day. There are 6 minutes on the clock, and Fourth Wing lore more angsty than Xaden and Violet figuring out their post-hookup relationship. So don't blink, don't scroll, don't let Taryn distract you. We have 360 seconds to blow your minds.
And go.
July 1st, the anniversary of the Battle of Arisha, is hereby proclaimed Reunification Day and will be celebrated throughout Navarre on this date every year to honor the lives lost during the war to save our kingdom from separatists and those saved by the Treaty of Arisha. Royal Proclamation of King Tari the Wise.
Separatists? Really? Separatists?
That's
It's an interesting characterization of people who are trying to aid other people outside, but didn't really declare their own country.
yeah, right. I guess we don't know exactly everything that they did and didn't do. Certainly, there have been elements of what the separatists or the rebellion leaders did and said that have been redacted from history, obviously, because anything having to do with why they were doing what they were doing had to have been redacted. But it's interesting that they're called separatists, but it's not necessarily called like a civil war or like like.
Well, and it's reunification, and the treaty of the place burnt to the ground.
And who are the people saved by the treaty?
Yeah, I mean, this is
Oh
some.
my gosh, the people saved by the treaty are the venin. The people saved by the treaty are the venin, because the only thing the treaty did was decrease the flow of venin-killing weapons to the people who were killing the venin. So the people who are saved by the treaty are the venin. Okay.
Yes, that's entirely true. That's not what they meant. I mean, they clearly were
Well,
we saved the people because of the wards that stayed up because we didn't give all of the weapons away. But on the flip side, if you were really trying to keep the wards up, you wouldn't have turned them into weapons in the first place. So Meldrin's like, we need to take the ward stones, melt them down, and then turn them into weapons. Which, frankly, doesn't that mean at some point the wards were down?
Arisha isn't covered by wards at this point. They have their own ward stone because the wards don't extend there.
Well, yeah. So I mean, but sorry, I just went off on a tangent. But when they took the ward extender down to meld it into daggers, doesn't that mean that they took the ward extender down? Then when they have to take the extension of the ward down to melt down the daggers, like they couldn't have kept the wards up.
Well, because they couldn't do it where there wasn't a luminary, right? So they had to have done all of the forging of the daggers at Besgaiath because that's the only working luminary. But were they forging new alloy to make new daggers, or were they taking the previous stores of alloy that had been at the outpost, bringing them back to Bezgayath and turning them
It
into daggers? And is that why there have been so many incursions and so many faltering of the wards over the past several years?
they talk.
Because they've been bringing the alloy back to Bezgayath to make it into daggers?
Yeah, there's that line where it says Melgrin foresaw that we needed these daggers, so they took
Well,
the
right.
extenders and they had to take them to a luminary.
In Iron Flame, it talks about how it wasn't always in daggers. It's just been in like the past several years. Like right after the Battle of Arisha is when they started forming it into dagger. Well, no, it was
Yeah,
before the Battle of Arisha.
yeah,
But
it was before the battle reached because they were giving the daggers away, and but that means that they were systematically taking the wards down and leaving people vulnerable. No wonder Fenn and company were like, "This is BS."
yeah, well, and let's think about this. We know at Drathis they're able to extend the wards. They they had 2 crates of daggers that Garrick brought, right?
Yes.
And it wasn't quite enough. They had to get everyone to come and give their alloy hilted daggers and like create a centralized location of the alloy in order for it to be a sufficient alloy. Now, it's also just a part of it's just a small disc of alloy in the dagger. So it's not like a huge amount. If you were to take it all, I mean, and melt it down and make it into a block of alloy, the block would not be huge. Like, because it's just this tiny disc, and I don't know how many daggers are in a crate, but they can't be too many because they would get too heavy to move. So, however much alloy it is, it doesn't take an awful lot. Like, I imagine,
But
like,
we don't know how big the extenders are. It could take the whole extender to make
no,
a.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Two crates plus however many people came and put together was enough to extend the wards. So that's how much it takes to extend the wards from Arisha to Drathis.
Yes.
So it
But
doesn't take a huge amount of alloy, but how much alloy do they have to begin with?
well, we have no idea. But what we do know from this treaty is if they were taking the ward extenders to turn them into daggers, that means they took down some of the wards. They put people in danger when there were venin out there, and then people were like, "This is not okay. You're for whatever reason, the government is putting people at risk," and then putting daggers back in, and then they stood up to defend those people, and they got called separatists.
Well, they definitely wanted to be doing something separate than what King Tari, the wise, wanted. And so, of course, he's going to label them something that makes them seem bad and him good.
Well, that's our time.
All of this hinges on how we think the alloy is made and the key ingredient that differentiates the alloy that can kill venin.
Yes, you were over time. There, find that someplace else, like Instagram.
All right. Well, yes. So that's it from us. Did we blow your mind? Let us know in the comments. Find more theories and a lot about alloy and word stones on our Instagram, which is axharleston, AXHARLESTON. And remember, we love you. Stay out of the clouds, off the ice, and come back to us. We'll see you next time.
See you next time. Remember, lore lovers, fantasy fanatics, and good girls, like, rate, review, subscribe, and share.